Welcome back to Forward Progress, presented by Fanduel. We are back with another edition of our Saturday prop show here with Hitman by my side. I'm Jason Cooper, and Hitman, we got two props today. We're going to talk a little bit about some record-breaking or incentive-based props towards the end of the show, so make sure you stick around for that. But let's start with our two props here. In the first game, we're going to be looking towards the Saturday game. Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Hitman, we're going back to Old Faithful. It won for us last week. Tell us about why you're liking Russell Wilson unders this week.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what I talked about last week about George Pickens because of the lack of depth surrounding this Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver group is one of the most valuable wide receivers in the NFL. And when he is not on the field, it's been a drastic difference. Wilson has averaged 6.1 yards per pass attempt with Pickens off the field compared to 8.8 yards per attempt with him on the field. It's a matchup that even in week 11, when these teams played, Wilson struggled. And this was when he was in his peak of playing really well. Wilson in that game only threw for 5.7 yards per attempt, didn't have a touchdown, had an interception. Pittsburgh's offense, I think kicked 6 field goals, if I'm correct. It was some type of outcome like that. And then the Ravens pass defense, like their year-to-date metrics have been really bad. But recently they've been good. I mean, since week 11, they've been the 5th best pass defense in the NFL, EPA wise. They've allowed the least amount of explosive plays since that point. There's a lot of talk about them moving Kyle Hamilton to safety is kind of what triggered the change with this pass defense. That's at least what Marlon Humphrey said of the Ravens. So it's just a good combo we got of Wilson struggling recently and a pretty tough matchup. So we're going to go back to Wilson under, what is it, 207.5 now, Jason?
207.5
On the
minus
move, because
110.
we said 209.5 about 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
That's what I would play it down to, is the
All right.
207.5.
Good to 207.5 minus 110. Pretty sure it's like that across the board. I think
It's a little higher, some other spots, but we'll see once the video comes out.
Sounds good. Sounds good. FanDuel's on the move right now. So, all right, let's get into our next prop. Minnesota Vikings taking on the Seattle Seahawks. You're looking towards a squeaky wheel, a guy who hasn't kind of been getting his targets lately. DK Metcalf. Tell us a little bit about why you like his overs in this game.
Yeah, so DK Metcalf over 4.5 receptions, minus 132. It's a little thinner just because this has been getting bet by some people. So yeah, we're just going up to minus 140 on this one. But yeah, the squeaky wheel stuff I think is important. DK Metcalf's offensive coordinator came out talking about how we need to get him the ball more, and it's just a perfect matchup to do that. Minnesota is allowing a league high receiving yards and receptions to just wide receivers in general, but outside perimeter wide receivers, they've been number one in those metrics as well. They've really struggled against this type of profile of player in DK Metcalf. So yeah, it just comes down to the perfect matchup along with an initiative to start getting DK the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like no disrespect to JSN, but it still feels like he's the best receiver on this team. And like ideally, if you want to win games, you want to get the ball to your best player. Before we talk a little bit about some record breaking stuff and incentive stuff and how you can attack that in the prop market, bet the NFL season on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. We absolutely love FanDuel here on Forward Progress. I love it for that anytime touchdown market. I talk about it every single week. They have some of the best pricing in all the sports books available right now. If you don't believe me, go check it out. Find a guy you like to score a touchdown, line shop it. Chances are best price available on FanDuel. On top of that, their menu, their user interface, super easy to use, super simple to click through, and super quick when you're live betting. So great stuff all around. Right now, all customers can get a profit boost every single NFL day. That means you can pop up your gridiron winnings multiple times a week. This week, Sunday, we have an SGP profit boost token on any game on the NFL slate. FanDuel has tons of ways you can get in on the NFL action. You can bet on money lines, spreads, player props, and so much more. Plus, with super simple live betting, lightning fast bet settlements, and instant withdrawals. FanDuel makes betting on the NFL easier than ever before. Just visit FanDuel.com/forward progress to download FanDuel today. Must be 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms for both offers at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/Chatham, Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. This is gamblinghelplinema.org, or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right. Hitman, you talked a little bit about this before the show. I had some questions for you about it. We decided let's just fire it up on air. Mike Evans, he's close to getting 1,000 yards for another season. We're seeing his overs for receiving yards currently getting steamed. Why don't you talk a little bit about that and how you kind of attack that in the prop market, and just what are your thoughts on the Mike Evans situation in general?
I mean, I disagree with it very strongly. I've seen some cappers, some Twitter guys, whatever, they've been giving out Mike Evans overs. And a lot of the handicaps just about this. Oh, he's got to keep the 1,000-yard streak going. And Baker Mayfield talked about that he's wants Evans to get to 1,000 yards. I believe he needs 250 in the last 3 games. The Bucs are in a playoff race. They're playing for their lives right now in the division. If Evans is going to get to that number while they're in the play, especially in week 16, then he's going to do it just by being a good player. But it's not going to be because they're scheming plays to get Evans the ball to chase him some record. If the season was over and they were 6-10 and it was the last game of the year and he needed 80 yards, I'm all about it. But at this point in the year, them playing for their playoff lives, it's just not a factor to me. So to be honest, some of the stuff that's happening with this, like, I think that if it does get inflated enough, you could potentially get an opportunity on the other side with some of this stuff. And I remember last year there was like a Dalton Schultz one in week 18. They were playing for the division. Loser goes home, winner goes to the playoffs. And his catches was getting steamed because he needed a certain amount of catches for an incentive. And it's just like, dude, they're playing for this is their playoff game. Like, it's just not going to be a priority to get this guy his $500,000 just if it jeopardizes them winning. So, yeah, I think it's a little bit early to be thinking about this stuff. Even like this week, like there's a lot of Trey McBride bets anytime touchdown because Kyler Murray talked about wanting to get him a touchdown this year and everything. Like, Arizona's playing for their playoff lives right now. It's and it's a one-way market. It's just some of this stuff I don't see the value on that some people have been betting early. So I would just be cognizant of some of that stuff that you see out there.
Yeah, and the Trey McBride stuff, I'm pretty sure he was like plus 200, plus 210, opened up got steamed all the way down to like plus 115 for the anytime touchdown.
And remember, when you're playing these anytime touchdowns, I know they're fun and like, don't get me wrong, like sometimes I do find value in some situations, but remember, there's a one-way price on a lot of these markets, which does tend to make it a little bit more difficult to beat. It can be beatable, but it's just a little bit more difficult.
A little bit tougher. And yeah, just looking over at the FanDuel history for Mike Evans as well, I think he opened up around 60 something at some spots, 67.5, and he's steamed all the way up to 80.5. Never know what can happen there, especially with injuries and things like that. So yeah, just be careful when you're playing this kind of stuff and listening to the fake handicappers on Twitter. But anyways, that's about it for us here today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you like this content, please do us a favor. Smash that like button. It goes a long way for us in the algorithm. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoy this kind of stuff, hit that subscribe button as well. We'll be back tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, live for the Pizza Buffet. Rob Pizzol will be live from 11 a.m. Eastern. He'll be breaking down all games on that Sunday slate, giving out some props, talking his spreads, his totals, all his numbers that he loves, and just breaking down the game. Best way to start your day. Grab a coffee, sit down, watch the Pizza Buffet with us here on Forward Progress. Anyways, this has been a Saturday's prop show edition of Forward Progress with the Hitman. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.